My name is David DL. I'm the founder and creative director of DL & Pow. We design retail experiences. That's our role. We've been doing that for 32 years now. And so we're busy UK and globally providing anything that our clients ask for and often a little bit more. We're finding that increasingly people are selling the same thing to the same audience, and you have to create that point of difference. So when we've been talking in the last 10 years about USP, it's very hard to define what a unique selling point might be. Increasingly, it's not what you sell, but how you sell it. And we're finding that the total experience adds up to a lot more than the product on offer. So whereas we may not be able to engineer uniquely exclusive products, we can certainly engineer new ways of selling those products. So that becomes really interesting to people like, let's say, a phone store where the operating system is the same, the product is principally the same, the relationship is the thing that you can manage. And you may not be the most competitive phone store, but you could be the most loved phone store. So that kind of experience becomes really crucial. It is the point of difference in the future. So in the creation of that unique experience that is the differentiator, digital is just a tool in that experience. So much like we may have used lighting or materiality in the past, now digital comes and plays its part. So the digital piece is possibly the most dynamic, the most interactive, potentially the most personal if it's used well. And our clients are very interested in how we can find the appropriate solution for the appropriate brand. So not simply taking a flat approach to pushing information, but making that much more connected and more personal to them as a brand and their customers. We're always looking for the next big thing. So for us, it's crucial to be aware of what's happening out there in terms of technological development. So that kind of pushing of the boundaries of invention, our digital guys tell us all the time, if it's not difficult, it's not worth doing. So we shouldn't be repeating too many ideas. We should be looking for the new thing that's going to spark some energy into our clients' results, if you like. So we're looking at technology leading the way, and then looking for the appropriate piece within the appropriate brand. So whereas Argos may have 32 screens around a space, and they're all pumping out imagery all day, every day, interestingly, at an increasingly slower pace, because we started too fast on Argos. We slowed it down, it made more sense. If you then go to the white company and say, we need to embrace digital in the experience, the last thing they need is screens. So screen technology doesn't work for them. So with the white company, we're looking at much more personal, almost intriguing pieces of invention around communicating very, very local ideas. So with the white company, it's tabletop presentation. With Argos, it's the complete digital environment. Two completely different brands, two completely different solutions. And it's really crucial to find that point of difference and push these clients apart, because they are talking to different people in a different mindset. We have some clients who are particularly digital averse, and it's not unusual. This is brand new to many of them. And if they're not active on web, for example, take Primark as an example. So Primark don't sell any products on their web. So digital in Primark is more about supporting the total experience. It's very visual. We have audio, which otherwise in a Primark store, they don't have. So the music from the digital content in Primark is the only music in the store. So the difference there is, let's say, is less commercial, less easy to judge success and failure, but the impact can be massive because you have no restrictions. You're not thinking about browsing a tablet or browsing a kiosk. You're using it to create the total experience. That's a very different brief from something like a Debenhams, where they say, we have 60 kiosks, we'd like a few more, what do you think? It's much more open. So digital design and that interactivity with the customer, think about what the customer wants and needs, give the customer what they want, what they maybe didn't know they wanted, but most importantly, make it unique to the client's own brand in that one store experience and create something unique and something they can own in the future. judging success and failure in any of these digital experiences is very, very difficult to do because they can be measured in so many different ways, as you can imagine. So something like an Argos where we may get 10, 15% increase on trade in the bottom line, but the fulfillment, the efficiency of the program, the process is what really brings benefit. So digital makes it much more streamlined. In Argos, for example, you can drop on new products and new deals every day, whereas the catalogue used to be this cumbersome 3 months at a time. So Argos gives them flexibility, gives them a chance to respond. And the bottom line is important. They must make more money, but the money they make may not be as large as it would be elsewhere, but it's magnified by the efficiency. Something like Primark is more about brand building, brand reinforcement. There's no revenue from the reaction to something like a Madrid installation, which was this incredible piece of staging around one big store. When you land that kind of piece, you're hoping that it's fulfilled over time. If we didn't have digital, would they still make money? Of course they would, but the digital just helps make it more of a brand experience. Untangible. You cannot really rate that in terms of success, percentage, whatever. Whereas something like Rockar, which is coming to the fore now, game changer in that sense, we've had really clear benefits from that. So our client will tell you and us about the fact that previously Hyundai would attract a man of my age, 57, and today in that one store, the average customer is a 37-year-old female. That's a fantastic opportunity for that brand. So they're catching a customer 20 years younger, changing the gender from a slow male who will only replace a car when they need to, into a young, vibrant woman who's looking at this as a fashion accessory. She can buy a black dress or a car for the same price per month. And that kind of deal in the shopping centre, putting the store where the people are, that the revenue back from that is massive, as you can imagine. So the financial success of that may not have even realized its potential yet, but we can just tell that works. There are some things you don't need to measure. You can just stand outside, you just get it. And when it works, it really does work. Some of the more brand building things, Y Company, Primark, are crucial to the experience. But I would say what's most satisfying is when the customer reacts to the offer and takes more involvement in the scheme, makes more money basically. One thing we've done recently for O2 in Manchester and White City is bring together both that experience and that commercial piece in one space. Lots of things for the customers to relate to in the space, lots of opportunities for the staff to engage with that customer. That builds a conversation, that makes a contract, that makes money. We've yet to prove to ourselves what percentage that might be, but in the end, if the client makes money, we're happy. If the client makes money, they come back, and if they come back, we're busy, and we need to be busy. So in the end, it is about the bottom line. I think increasingly the retail design brief is much more open in reflection to the kind of services that people like us provide, and there are many people like us. So increasingly innovation is at the heart of a brief. If a client simply wants something functional, then many of our clients have in-house teams who deliver that every day. So they're looking for ideas beyond the brief, they're looking for the unexpected, and they're not necessarily, the briefs we're getting today are not so prescriptive, so they're much more about what is possible rather than what is needed. So that's fresh. There are obviously restraints and we respond to those, but the opportunities aren't often identified early on. It's up to us to develop those with the client. So we've introduced in the last year much more of a definitive starting point for that brief, where you start with an open book. What can we do? Blank piece of paper. Think about the strategy of the reasons why we're doing this project. Think about what the benefits might be, rather than have those predetermined on an A4 piece of paper coming from a client who simply wants a better shop that makes more money. That kind of brief is relevant, yes, but the ways of getting there are becoming more complicated and more innovative. So we help establish what innovation means to a client and how they can respond themselves. The internal teams do need to step up, and they need to be open to new ideas, and we do rely on our clients to take part in this process. The more they can give us to think about, the more we can give them back to explore. So we're in it together. It has to be cooperative. There's no point in leaving a client with something that they cannot manage that becomes an issue in the future. We need to create these programs together, land them together, and support each other through the process. And be open for change. So one thing digital can deliver is flexibility above everything else. Something like an Argos program has a 2.5-year payback on print, for example. So 2.5 years of a TV screen pumping out information that changes every 3 seconds, is the cost of that is equal to the print budget for 2.5 years. So that opens up a lot of possibilities, because you can imagine print is replaced every month, whereas TV content can be replaced every second. So the potential for innovation, even just on screen, which is not a particularly innovative medium, that potential is massive. And we have to make sure our clients are stepping up to that. But it is a cooperative piece, and it does start from the very beginning of the process. In addition to the store experience itself, the physical presence of the brand in the space, we're also looking at how that customer journey starts long before the store is even established. So how does social media interact with the content in store? O2 particularly are interested in this, as you can imagine, being such a vibrant brand online. So how does O2 reinforce the experience they've created in Manchester and White City, and make sure that before that journey, during that experience, and beyond that experience, all of that digital piece is all connected? So they've seen things in store that inspire them to use their equipment better for their own benefit, and how do they take that home and use that away from the space? So the store environment can do a lot more for the customer in the longer journey, pre-sale, during the sale, and long after. So they're looked after at every phase of that process. That makes a lot of sense for people like O2, as you can imagine. With Hyundai Rockar, what we've discovered is a much richer reward than simply just a great store. So we're able to expand on that and some of the benefits that Hyundai Rockar have created for themselves in the space in Stratford, the most recent, and the original store in Bluewater. So now we have 2 examples, both working for different markets with quite different concerns, but that in itself has been interesting. Different demographic, different customer, and we now know how they've responded to that space, and we know those benefits, and we know all of the good news around that very special piece of work that's happened for them. And that's already being discussed with others, by Rockar, by ourselves, to expand that further, which is great news. It's not a static solution. We're finding the definition of retail is really broad right now, in the sense that we're working in much more in what has been tentatively called service design. And service design can be about fulfillment in somewhere like an Argos process, or in the banking sector, where we've been working with people like NatWest and Nationwide in the past. So we think this influence that digital in retail is bringing is much more flexible, as in how you use it, or how relevant it is to that customer. That customer shops, but that customer also travels. That customer also is entertained by brands in lots of spaces. How does the retail digital experience affect those people in those spaces? That's a very interesting combination as we begin to break down the definition of retail and think of it more around hospitality, looking after customers in their space, in our space, and being more open about how a brand can connect. Retail is increasingly becoming a much broader fulfillment piece, and I know that banks talk a lot about retail. I don't think they've quite got it yet. There's still some way to go, and the retail influence can certainly affect the hospitality sector, and we're looking forward to that challenge.